Hey guys, Roscoe here, truth in your face. There's no gravity in my house at the moment, so I'm just floating. But I just gotta find the switch. It's over here. Okay, got gravity back. That's because I work for NASA. I can do that shit. I had work balance in 1 week. Neil deGrasse Tyson, what a fucking wanker. And a liar. And a retard. And I'm going to give you 10 reasons why. And all those 10 reasons are from one episode of the Joe Rogan show, which he was on the other day. And I hate his mustache. Fucking stupid. Fucking, we're not in the 70s anymore, man. Get a cool mustache. Cool mustache. Get a cool mustache. Owen Benjamin had a cool mustache. I had a cool mustache once. But not fucking a Neil deGrasse Tyson mustache. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, 10 reasons why he's a retard. We'll start off with number 1. We'll start off with his favourite painting, the Starry Night. And listen to what he says.
What I like about Starry Night, it's not what Van Gogh saw that night. It's what he felt.
How do you know what he felt?
Because this is not a representation of reality.
Pretty sure no one ever would think, that looks like reality. The only time that would look like reality is if you're on acid. But then, almost in the next sentence, Neil deGrasse Wanker says this.
Done an analysis of like where he must have been.
Yeah, it's well known. Yeah, he was in a real place.
And so that
he
really
didn't pull this
would
out
be...
of his ass, right? I mean, it was he painted what he saw.
Oh, hang on. So it's a representation of reality because he painted what he saw. But obviously it's not a representation of reality because, unless you're on acid, of course, but is it reality or isn't it, Neil deGrasse Tyson? Double speaking wanker. Number 2. Also with the Starry Night painting, listen to what he says about the moon.
By the way, that is a real evening. So it's not even the evening, it's early morning. The crescent moon, when it's that orientation, means this is before sunrise. And that white object lower on the horizon, that's sort of glowy, that's very likely Venus. And that enables us to trace over what set of weeks this painting was actually painted.
Now, when we do our own fact-checking, we find this. The moon in the painting would not have been in the crescent phase. In reality, it would have been gibbous, or about 3/4 full. The moon at that time was a gibbous 3/4 moon, not a crescent moon, like you've tried to tell the audience, you fucking retard. Number 3. Here's a statement which proves that his idea, his way of thinking is the people to elect the government are the people that will listen to what they're being told and just accept it. Don't question it. Just listen to what you're being told and accept it, and then we'll elect you into government if you're that.
That's not what matters. What matters is, in a free country, that you elect officials who are not.
Officials.
Yes, you elect people who are scientifically literate.
Yes.
They don't have to be scientists, and if they're not scientifically literate, they should be self-aware of that, and then listen to people who are.
Right.
So he must push that narrative to keep people. The people in power must be puppets. They must listen and accept. Yeah, wanker. Number 4, ice skating physics. Yeah, this is my favourite. He talks about the physics of ice skating. Listen to what he says about ice skating physics.
This is why you can ice skate. Why can you skate on ice? Because the edge of the blade is very high pressure on the ice, and it's melting a bead of water. And you're actually gliding on water when you're skating. You're not skating on slippery ice. Your entire body weight is being held up on a very narrow surface area of the blade, so the pressure is extreme. What makes it so slippery on ice skates is because you're moving on a bead of water that freezes right behind you as you go past it.
So, let's do our own research about ice skating physics, and this is what we find. It has long been believed that ice is slippery because the pressure of an object in contact with it causes a thin layer to melt. The hypothesis was that the blade of an ice skate exerting pressure on the ice melts a thin layer, providing lubrication between the ice and the blade. This explanation, called pressure melting, originated in the 19th century. This, however, did not account for skating on ice temperatures lower than 3.5 degrees Celsius, where skaters often skate on lower temperature ice. Old theories make no sense. Because ice is less dense than liquid water, its melting point is lowered under high pressures. A long-standing theory says that this was what causes ice to be slippery. As you step on it, the pressure of your weight causes the top layer to melt into water. I think everybody agrees that this cannot possibly be. The pressure wouldn't be so extreme you can't even achieve it by putting an elephant on high heels. Another theory says that the heat created by friction when you move across the ice produces a layer of water. However, ice is not only slippery when you are moving, as anyone who tries to stand on ice skates for the first time quickly discovers. The water layer theory doesn't make much sense. So Neil deGrasse Tyson, you're a fucking retard and a liar, and you have no fucking idea about ice skating physics. Number 5. Listen to him talk about the winds at the equator and the clouds. Okay, listen.
You have a cylinder rotating where you have air rising, and just below the equator, you have a cylinder rotating the opposite way, so that air is still rising at the equator. Okay, so air rises at the equator. It's unstable. It makes clouds. The equator is the cloudiest place on Earth.
The cloudiest place on Earth, the equator. Well, fact checked. Let's go do some fact checking. Cloudiest place, China. Interesting. Equal second, China. Joint 5th place, China. Seems like China is the most cloudiest place. China is, just for the record, about 3,300 kilometres north of the equator. You lying piece of shit. Well done, Neil deGrasse Tyson. High five. No, fuck off. I want to high five you. Number 6. Apparently he doesn't really like Nikola Tesla. He thought the whole idea of free energy was bullshit. Can't do it. Listen to him rave on about it.
That's not what Tesla was referring to. He was talking about moving radio waves through the space that would charge things up. You can't pack sufficient energy in your radio wave to do anything we need to do mechanically.
Currently.
Well,
but back then, would it be sufficient?
There might have been something you could have done with your radio waves because the needs were no, I take that back. That was the height of the Industrial Revolution. That was the age of the machine, the age of the giant turbines. Radio energy is not touching that.
Right, but wasn't it possible that he was considering it for things like radios or light bulbs or household items? Would it be possible to use that power for that?
So what happens? So the radio waves, if you had enough power in radio waves to generate a light bulb, to power a light bulb, well, through the air? Are you standing in the way of this? This energy has pathways. We now send energy through wires. Because
Right.
you're not standing in the way of the wire. The wire's buried. The wire has insulation.
It would
The
have some
wire's
sort of
on a high
residual effect.
suspension thing. You want to move it through the air and you want to walk around like... No. That's not how that works.
What I've heard.
If you're
people
moving enough
discuss-
energy through the air to power something that itself could kill you, the energy moving through the air could kill you.
But speaking of doublespeak, he then says,
Unless you bring a little bit amount and then you store it and then use it later. You could do it that way. Sure.
"Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson, so it can be done." And Nikola Tesla wasn't a retard like you are. Number 7. Google Home. Listen to what he says about the little Google Home thing, like Alexa, Amazon, like a Google Home. Yeah, listen.
We were once gifted one of these, what do you call those things that you talk to?
Oh, Alexa.
Yeah, whoever the Google one is. Is that
Okay,
Alexa?
At home, Google at home.
No, Alexa
Yeah.
is Amazon, right?
Amazon,
So it's Google
yes.
at home. And she said, don't turn that on. I said, why not? Because they'll be listening. And I didn't believe her at first, and then I started hearing stories. And so
And then in the next sentence, he says,
I don't have one, but it's not because I know that it's listening or not listening.
so he has one, because better turn it on and talk to it, but he doesn't own one. So he owns one, because his wife told him not to turn it on. So he owns one, but he doesn't own one. You know what that's called, Neil? It's called being a fucking retard. Being senile. You don't know what the fuck you're saying. You're forgetting what you said one sentence prior to what you say. So like that's a major sign of insanity, senile. Like you're forgetting what you're saying like 2 seconds after you say it. It's pretty bad, you know? Anyway, number 8, the Fibonacci sequence. Fibonacci. Listen to what he says about Fibonacci.
So
Throws that
Fibonacci,
motherfucker
you can
right
find it in nature and say, oh, isn't this beautiful? But you've overlooked all the places where it doesn't show up in nature.
Right,
So
but it appears so many times.
it doesn't appear in more places than it does appear.
So apparently it's not that common. Like there's more places that don't have Fibonacci, that more things don't have Fibonacci than what things that do. That's what he just said. But then again, in the next sentence,
Well, if the
Very
next thing you do
distinct pattern.
depends on the previous 2 things you did, you get the Fibonacci series. I mean, that's often the case with,
yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson, senile, demonstrably retardness. Like, you're the one, you're proving it yourself. I'm just pointing it out. This one I find very interesting, and I really can't comprehend why Neil deGrasse Tyson would say something like this, especially about Isaac Newton. Like, Isaac Newton's meant to be his hero, like his idol. He always talks about Isaac Newton. Like, if Neil deGrasse Tyson lived in the days of Isaac Newton, or Isaac Newton lived in today's day, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Isaac Newton will be boyfriends. They would be going out, they'd be fucking, right? That's how much he loves Isaac Newton. But listen to what he says.
So Newton was deeply puzzled by how you can have something called, in which he coined the phrase, action at a distance. Okay? He wrote down the equation that worked. He wrote down the equation. The moon goes around the Earth, Earth goes around the sun, the moons of Jupiter go around Jupiter. He accurately described that with his equations of gravity. Okay. He said, one day, I think we're going to find some way that they're connecting to each other, but I don't know what that is right now, but I know my equations work. He called it spooky. It was spooky to him. That's his word. Spooky action at a distance. All right.
See, spooky. Like, yeah, Newton did say action at a distance. But did Newton say spooky action at a distance? Or did some other pseudoscientist say it? Yeah, no, it wasn't Newton. I think most people know that. I think probably 90% of the world knows who termed the phrase spooky action at a distance, and it wasn't Isaac Newton. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, considering Isaac Newton is your go-to guy, your man, your dude, your bro, your fuck buddy, you have no fucking idea. You're going senile, that's all. Maybe I'm senile. Maybe I'm talking shit. Maybe I have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. Maybe I should watch this before I post it. Post it, upload it. See, maybe I'm going senile. Who cares? I'm just pointing out the obvious that Neil deGrasse Tyson is a fucking retard. And finally, the number 10. He talks about this, the orbits of the planets up there in fake space. But anyway, initially he says this.
The sun is losing mass as we speak. It's called the solar wind. So everybody loses mass out there.
Then he wants to talk about how they calculate the orbit of planets around stars and bodies of mass. Whatever he wants to talk, whatever he's talking about up in that fake space that they use equations for, well, they have an equation to work out speed, the distance, I don't know, speed. And listen to what he says.
If the sun had less mass, that speed is too high to be in this orbit. It'll take it to it's too fast to maintain this orbit. It'll climb us out to a higher orbit, slow us down, and we'll be in a higher orbit with a slower speed.
So, our sun is losing mass, therefore shouldn't that be affecting Earth's orbit? If we were actually in orbit, which we're not, but wouldn't, if you're saying that our sun's losing mass, but then you're saying, you know, if the sun was to lose mass, then the Earth would be a slower or further, whatever you say. Like, you just said it yourself, like, why doesn't it affect, why isn't it happening? Why is the sun losing mass, but it's not affecting our orbit? But you're saying it should, because that's how you measure. But no, you actually said the Earth would, if the sun was to lose mass, the Earth would fly out. Like, you said it, like, it's so ridiculous, I can't even fucking repeat it. You have demonstrated that almost everything that came out of your mouth in that 2.5 hours on the Joe Rogan show was a bunch of lies. Was you being senile? Was you being a retard? And you just being a fucking disgrace to the public. You should not show your face ever again. Ever. After that. Anyway, truth in your face. See you next time. I'm going to get our fucking anti-gravity thing back on. Ooh, see yous.